All right. There are 3 steps in everything that we do, and this is what I want to really stick with you tonight, and this is why I printed these on these cards. We've done these cards in the past for the I Am Second series, and so I want you to take these home, laminate them, put them above your bed, next to the picture of me, and you're just like, oh, he's so dreamy. So, right here, the 3 steps right here, I want you to say it with me. Idea. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to say it, then you guys say it, okay? Repetition here. Idea. Choice. Action. All right, 3 steps. Idea. Choice. Action. Stop being an overachiever. Who's doing that? I thought it was one of the homeschoolers. I was like, I'm used to them trying to be overachievers, but I'm keep my eye on you. So 3 things, 3 steps in everything that we do. First thing is the idea. The thing that, please listen up. The thing that comes into your mind. You get random ideas throughout the day, right? Anybody with me on this? You get random ideas. It's just like, where the heck did this come from? And you're just, okay, random things come into you all day. This is where everything in our life starts right here. An idea comes into our mind, okay? Second step is the choice. When that idea comes into your life, you have a choice of what you're going to do with it, right? You have an idea that comes to your mind. I'm going to slap them across the face. That's an idea, okay? You can't help that idea coming in your mind sometime. How many of you have ever encountered anybody? Don't slap. No, don't. I'm watching you guys. How many of you have ever had that come in your mind before? I'm just going to slap you. Yeah, okay? So you have the idea come into your mind. Then comes the second phase, choice. This is where you get to choose what you do with the idea. You choose, okay, I'm going to slap them across the face, or I'm just going to stand here. Then comes the last action. Well, the last step is action. This is very important here. There is the idea that comes into your mind. There's a choice of what you're going to do with it. Then comes the action of you're either going to reach out and slap someone across the face, or you're just going to stand there and keep your hands to yourself. So there's 3 steps. 3 steps. In everything that we do. And I know we talk, and you guys are having some conversations right now. I need you to please stop. Thank you. In these 3 steps, a lot of times when we come back to this, and especially in a church setting, you come to the idea part. I want to really emphasize on this. I talked about this a little bit last week when I was talking about antivirus. When I was talking about we need to filter what comes into our lives. We need to protect ourselves against things taking root in our lives that will destroy us from the inside. This comes from the same concept of what we need to do is we need to understand that these ideas that come into our mind, a lot of times you can't control what comes into your mind, okay? Don't think about zebras. I've used this example don't think about zebras right now. Do not think about fat, chubby zebras, okay? Do not think about a fat, chubby zebra in a tutu. What are you thinking about right now? A chubby zebra in a tutu. So a lot of times when these ideas, things come in front of your eyes, you see different images, either on TV, in movies, in magazines, you're reading different books, you have ideas, you have things coming into your mind. A lot of times you don't have control over the things the ideas that are coming through your mind in different circumstances, like when you're talking to somebody, like what I just showed to you guys, talking about the zebras. A lot of these times these ideas are planted in your mind, and so This is a step that you don't have a lot of control over. You have some control, and we'll talk about this a little bit, but you don't have a lot of control over this. And I've talked to some young Christians before to where they feel guilty because they have some ideas that they know aren't of God. They have some ideas coming through their mind, and so they are getting convicted on this. And what I need to stress to them is a lot of times what you do with the idea, well, actually it's all the time, what you do with the idea is the important part. Because you have these ideas, these thoughts, these images that come through your mind that you don't have total control over, then people start feeling guilty about it. And it's not the idea that's the sin, it's the choice that can lead to sin. It's not the idea that's the sin, it's the choice that comes from that leads to sin. Because like what I was talking about last week, men, you guys can understand me on this. When you're going down the road and you see this very nice looking woman that comes by, there can be ideas that can start coming in your mind, right? Ladies, when you're out and you see the guys that are in the tiny shorts and they're sweating, they're ripped and they're glistening in the sun as they're running, it's like slow motion and you're just like, ideas can come into your mind, right? Yeah, whatever. So these ideas, and that's not the sin right there, okay? The sin comes when you decide to entertain that thought or to act on that thought. Because the Bible, what I was talking about last week, is it says, take captive every thought, and you can do that. When these thoughts come into your mind, this is the part that you need to really understand. When these thoughts come into your mind, you get to decide where it goes and how it's handled in your life. So this is the important part. You need to understand that ideas of all types, good ideas and bad ideas, will happen. They will come into your life for the rest of your life. Are you guys following me on this? The ideas, okay, everybody say idea. Choice. Action. The idea part is the part that is going to happen regardless of if you want it to or not. Ideas will always happen. They will come in your mind, good or bad. They are always going to happen. But we need to take captive every thought, every imagination, and decide where it goes. Now, moving on to the choice here. You have an idea, like what I was talking about before, of where you feel like, man, my sister is really bothering me. I just really want to slap her across the face. This is the part where you can get in trouble or you cannot get in trouble, okay? This is very important that you understand this. These thoughts will come into your mind, but what you decide to do with them is the important part. How you respond to these thoughts. Because, I mean, how many of you ever had a violent thought against somebody else and didn't act on it? Yeah. So, some more hands should be up in here. You're like, yeah, I just act on every violent thought. No, I really doubt that. So you've had these thoughts come in, and you got to choose in that moment whether you wanted to act on that idea or not, whether you wanted to be a jerk or not, whether you wanted to be violent or not. You get to choose. And this is the thing. The world right now is trying to remove consequence in this step right here. They're trying to tell you that, I've already told you that the idea phase right here, a lot of times you don't have control over that. They're trying to convince you that this second part right here, the choice, you don't have control over that either. They're trying to say that all three of these steps, you don't have control in any of these. Okay, here's a few examples that I've heard over the years. One of the main excuses that I've heard as far as people, especially getting violent against other people because they get angry, they say, I just black out. And I have no idea what I do when I black out. Let me tell you, bull crap. Baloney. It's like I'm talking to them and they're like, I just blacked out. And then in the conversation, they're telling me details while they were blacked out. And I said, I thought you were blacked out. They're fully aware that the idea came in their mind. They're fully aware that they had a choice in that moment. And they're fully aware of the action that was taken. But they're saying, I blacked out. And so they hide behind this the rest of their life saying, I have an anger problem. I have angry ideas that come into my mind. I can't control the choice. I can't control the action because I black out. Don't be that person. That's a cop-out. That is saying, I have no responsibility. You know who has no responsibility in that? I can understand if you were 2 or 3 years old. But you're a young adult. Act like it. Don't hide behind that. Another thing that people hide behind, I'm like this because of my family. I understand. I've talked to you. Some of your families are screwed up. Guess what? So are you. So this is the thing. I've heard some people that are like, I'm like this because of my family. Your family does not have to define you. Your family does not have to define how you respond to situations. I've talked to young men and women to where they come from abusive situations to where parents were beating them and where they had every excuse in the world's eyes to where they can have a violent idea. They can choose to be violent and they can act on that without any consequence because people will be like, well, they come from an abusive family. And they are some of the most kind-hearted, gentle people that I've ever met because they never want to do that to somebody else. They understand that these ideas will come into their life. They have a choice. They don't have to act on it. So that's another excuse right there. I'm like this because of my family. Here's another one, and I'm not trying to be insensitive about this, but I've worked with enough people in this area to where I know a lot of people, they hide behind this excuse, and they shouldn't. They say, I'm off my medication. I'm not being insensitive about it. I know that some people have some serious issues, but a lot of people, they blow their issues out of proportion. They say, I'm off my medication, so I have no choice. I have dealt with so many young men and women that are on medications to where they forgot to take their medications for a period of time, or they didn't have enough, and so they were off for a period of time. And while it was more difficult for them, it was harder for them to do this filter. It took them more time. They would filter through this. They would have an idea. They would have the choice, and they would choose not to act on it. Why? Because they understood that they were responsible for their actions. Everybody say this with me. I'm responsible. Okay, I didn't believe it on that one. That was really crappy. Everybody try it again. I'm responsible. Thank you. I want you to understand that you are responsible because with this, you go through everybody say it with me. Idea. Choice. Action. These are the 3 steps we always go through. You are responsible for this entire process here. Okay? You have full control over this entire process, right? Well, except for the ideas coming in your mind. But choice and action, you have full control over that. The idea comes, you can choose what you're going to do with it, and you can choose how you're going to act on it. You have full control over that. But there's one part, I was just talking to one of our adult leaders earlier, and she said it beautifully. She said, you have control over your actions, but you don't have control over the consequence. How many of you have ever done anything stupid in your life and you had some consequences you did not like? My hands up. Absolutely. Some things that I did not enjoy. I'm not going to go into detail on that. But like with my son, this is one point that really drove it home was, I'm a late night person. I don't usually shut down that early. When I was younger, I would stay up and watch the sunrise and then go to bed. Just working on different things. And so with my son, one of the things that I learned very early on is that if I had an idea of I want to stay up late and I made the choice to go through it and I acted on that and I stayed up late with my son, I'd have the consequence of a very cranky, angry child the next day. And it was not fun because I was tired, he was tired, but I had no control over that consequence. See, that was a consequence came through my actions. Talking to the young people to where you've had a thought of physical violence towards someone, you chose to act on that, and so you have consequences now to where you have some legal problems that are going on because you acted on it, to where you attacked someone else or you did something else. Other things, you had an idea to where it's like, guys, you know how this goes. You see a girl, you're like, oh, she's fine. And so you have a choice in this moment what you're going to do with those feelings, and then you act on it improperly. Then all of a sudden she's like, you're going to be a daddy. That's a consequence, right? You don't. Hold on. You didn't have any control over the idea, but you had control over the choice and the action, right? You had full control over the action. Now you have the consequence, and you are fully responsible for that. Ladies, same thing right there. You have the young, smooth guy with the hairy legs. He comes up to you and he's like, stop. And you're like, oh, he's not me. I must make him mine. So what you decide is that you choose to act on this idea that you have of this man in your life, and then you find that you're in this situation where all of a sudden you're pregnant. You are fully responsible for that child. You need to understand that. In other situations too, as far as like going to parties and stuff, I've had so many people are like, well, it's not my fault, I was drunk. Well, guess what? You had an idea. I want to get drunk. You had a choice in that moment of, I can drink or I cannot drink. And I know most of you are like, but drinking's fun. Well, then you must find the consequences are incredible as you're wrapped around the porcelain god going, ugh, ugh, so worth it. Ugh. Because when you're drinking, you feel great. You feel like the world it makes sense. You feel so incredibly attractive. How attractive are you with the consequences? How attractive are you the next morning when you're just like, I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah, right, bring sexy back. Exactly. There are consequences that you need to understand. So, you have the idea. Ever say idea? Choice. Action, then you have consequences. So, little idea to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of what I'm talking about tonight. I have these random ideas of different things that come into my mind all the time, okay? And it can get dangerous. My wife is scared of my ideas sometimes. Thinking does hurt your brain. So, you have an idea that comes in I have an idea that comes in my mind. I can't control these ideas. Give you guys an example. I want to shave my head. Right? So I'm in the first phase right here, okay? I just had an idea come into my mind right now. I want to shave my head. Now, I know some... No, hold on. No. Don't get carried away. So I have an idea. I want to shave my head. Now I'm in a choice phase right now. Okay? I have an idea. I want to shave my head. I'm in the choice phase. Now I get to decide, do I want to shave my head or do I want to keep my hair? Because if I shave my head, I'm going to look really awesome. But my wife is probably not going to find me as attractive. But I want to shave my head. Now, why are you guys so encouraging with this? This is an example. You guys are like, do it. Do it. You guys are terrible friends. You guys are, okay. Okay. Try something new. Okay, so we're in the idea phase, past that. Now we're in a choice phase. Then we go to the action phase, where it's like, I get to decide what I'm going to do. So, let me show this to you guys. Everybody say it with me. Idea. Choice. Action. Hold on one second. I got to see this. Hold on. I have a feeling that I look amazing. Oh my God! Well, hold on. So this is what I want you guys to see, okay? There are three steps right there. I'm regretting this. Idea, choice, action. I took the action. Now here's the consequence. Hold on. Listen. Honestly, do I look good? Okay, so here's the consequence. I'm going to go home. I'm going to walk up to my wife and, hey, baby. What's the consequence? Exactly. Now, listen. This is important. I want you guys to listen up. I got hair falling in my eyes. Can I take this action back? Was this kind of permanent? Is this going to affect me for a while? Okay, now think of this. You guys find yourselves in situations all the time where you have an idea. It sounds like a great idea coming to your life. Then you move into the choice phase where you get to choose what you do with this idea. You get to weigh things out. And a lot of you guys, you skip over this, or you think, I just want to be awesome and I want to impress other people. But other people are not the ones that live with your consequences. You are. You guys get to go home with a full head of hair. Some of you. No. I don't. That's my consequence that I have to live with now. I know, right? But here's the thing. I have to live with the consequences of this. I have to live with it. And I want to talk to you about a few things of how people get stuck in bad choices. How people get stuck in these cycles of bad choices. Number one, they make their bad choice their identity. How many of you know people that are like that? They did something stupid when they're younger. They realized that it was stupid, but instead of learning from their mistakes and moving away from it, they made that their identity. And so they're now they're like, check me out. I'm all kinds of stupid. Now I'm proud of it. What are you going to do about it? So this is what I'm going to do. From now on, this is my hairstyle. You know what? I like this. The reverse mohawk. I'm going to do this for the next 5 years because you know what? It's awesome. And you guys are like, this is dumb. Why are you going to do? Think about your own lives. You have things that you've done in your past that you have made part of your identity because you knew it was a bad choice, but rather than learning from it, moving away, you kept it as part of who you are. Why? Why do you do that to yourself? Why not learn and admit that you're wrong and move on from that? Here's another one. They try to pressure others to do the same stupid thing that they did so they feel better about it. Daniel, come here. Come here, Daniel. It's called hair. I'm going to stand still, Daniel, okay? He would actually let me. No, thank you. You can go sit down. Thank you. Now, see, that was a terrible example because actually I should have chose better. Daniel would absolutely let me shave his head. But other people, they try to pressure other people. Before the service, I was asking Pastor, I was like, hey, Pastor, do you want to join me tonight? And he's like, doing what? I said, just say yes. Then he had this look of concern just wash over his face like, oh, God, I'm going to get phone calls tonight. But But they try to pressure other people to join them so that they don't feel so isolated in their stupidity, in their bad choice. They're like, hey, look, I'm having fun over here. They feel like an idiot, but they're trying to get you to be an idiot with them so they feel better about themselves. Don't make the same bad choices other people did just because they're trying to pressure you into it. It doesn't make sense. And this happens all the time. You are thinking of things in your own life to where someone made you do something that they did, and you regretted it immediately after, and you wondered why. This is why. They were acting stupid. They did something. They had an idea that was awful. They decided to act on it, and now they're trying to get you to join the stupid parade. Don't do it. It's like, I couldn't do that to Daniel. I couldn't make him look like this.
Yeah, you could.
Actually, I could. I love you, man. I wouldn't do that to you.
What about Leroy?
Number 3. Leroy's hair is already short. It wouldn't work. Number 3, listen up. Listen up. Number 3, they say, screw it. I've already messed up. So you know what? Racing stripes. Screw it. You know what? I'm going to own this. I'm going for the full skunk now. Now, let me ask you this. Honestly, guys, I know last time I looked ridiculous, but doesn't this look awesome? Yeah, right? No? So let me talk to you about this. People do this, and I know most every single person have done this because this is human nature, okay? You make a mistake, and you say, screw it, I've already made a mistake, so I'm just going to own it. And I'm going to keep doing this. I want you guys to listen to me. I'm being serious. I know it's hard to take me seriously right now, but I want you to hear this. Young ladies, you have an idea of what kind of man that you want to have in your life and what kind of marriage relationship you want to eventually have. So you plan this from when you were a little girl. You meet a young man. You think that he's the one, that he is everything that you need, and so you give yourself to him fully, and then he ends up being just some immature little jerk that is not good enough for you, and he's out of your life. And so instead of going back to the original plan of, you know what, this is what I want to have in my marriage relationship and how do I get there, instead of doing that, you feel soiled, you feel dirty, you feel like, well, you know what, it's already done, so who cares if someone else does? And so you go from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy to guy because you don't value yourself anymore. You make one mistake and you feel like it's all over. Young man, I've talked to, and I'm not singling you out because you're men, but it seems like this issue comes up a lot with young men that get into legal issues as far as violence towards other people. They feel like now that door is open that they have to own that and continue on in that, and you feel, I'm a tough guy now. I need to continue on in this in my life because you know what? No one's going to mess with me. That's a bad idea. You chose poorly and you acted on it. And now you're deciding to be a jerk for the rest of your life. Who are you going to become because of your ideas, your choices, and your actions? This is the important thing that you need to realize. Your actions that you take now will affect who you become later on. There's some conversation going on over here. I really need you to stop. Who are you going to become because of your actions? And is it worth it? Because so many times I see so many young people that they get an idea of who they think they want to be because they think everybody else will like that person. And so they have choices to make constantly about how are you going to act, how are you going to dress, how are you going to treat others, what are you going to do? And they make poor choices so that they can impress other people. And so they're taking these actions for the wrong reasons, and guess who has the consequences? Not the people you're trying to impress, but you. You set up these lifestyles, like what I was talking about before, to where I know a lot of you are convinced that drinking is fun, but I've seen the drinking scene from before your guys' age. I worked with some young people to where they started drinking when they were 8 or 9. And I know some of you are probably at that age, that's when you started, but you're going through this, and you go through your teen years, and you think that you're having fun, it's a great time, and in the time, probably you are having fun. But what happens, when you're 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and you've not gained any traction in your life because of this lifestyle that you've chose? What are you going to do? It's the same thing with drugs, and again, with lying, too. This is another thing. You have an idea of that you want to protect yourself, so you have a choice in that moment. Am I going to be a person of integrity, or am I going to choose the easy way out to protect myself? Let me give you some advice. Choose integrity, because what happens is integrity is something that's really hard to get back, because once you start lying, once you make that choice and you start acting on it, it's a lot easier to make that choice. You start lying more often, until finally nobody believes you anymore. Nobody believes you anymore. And this message is for a few students that are in here, because you've come to me so many times with stories that are going on and nothing lines up. It is your time now. This is an idea. How about you choose integrity and honesty and truth in your life rather than being a habitual liar for the rest of your life? To where nobody takes you seriously. Nobody can believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Why don't you make a better choice? So going back there, idea. Everybody say it with me. Idea. Choice. Action. That's your responsibility, and the consequence, that's yours and nobody else. Lord, I just thank you for tonight. I thank you that we can gather here and have a good time in your house, and I thank you that hair grows back. God, I thank you for every single young person that is in here, that in the days and weeks and months to come, as they have ideas that come into their mind of what they want to do in their life, what they want to become, that they just take a second to pause, to filter, to think about it before they make a choice. Not just shooting from the hip, God, but actually giving it some serious thought and weighing things out, so that the actions that they take make sense, and that the actions will lead to you. I thank you for the safety over every single person as they go home tonight. Amen.